right, today we're going to talk about subtracting integers, and basically the rule for subtraction is plus the opposite and use the addition sign or the addition rules, okay? Now I want to first of all review the addition rules that we learned yesterday, since we are going to need to use them today as well. And then we'll concentrate a little bit more on the subtraction rule. Rule number 1 for adding integers. Adding positives will give you a positive answer. And we also know that adding negatives, two negatives, will give you a negative answer. So if I had these two examples here, number 1, negative 12 plus negative 3, what answer would you get?
Negative 15.
Negative 15. And then on number 2, I have negative 5 plus a negative 17. That's in parentheses here.
Negative 22.
Negative 22. So if the signs are the same, you just add and use the same sign for your answer. So 2 positives added together make a positive, and 2 negatives added together make a negative. So let's do these problems here. We have number 1, negative 5 plus 8. What are we supposed to do? Take the difference, remember? Take the difference of the two. And then use the sign of the number that is furthest away from 0. So my answer would be 3 for number 1. What about number 2? Positive 7. The difference between 13 and 6. And basically we're taking the absolute values and taking their difference. And then once I get that it's 7, I need to figure out which one is furthest from 0 and use its sign. And then what about number 3? Positive 3. The difference between 10 and 7 is 3, and 10 is furthest away from 0, so I make sure that that 3 is positive. So this rule is you can add a bigger positive, a smaller negative, that will give you a positive. I think this is kind of confusing to me. You should just say, hey, if I've got a positive and a negative number, I take the difference between the two absolute values and use the sign that's furthest from 0. Let's do these addition problems. What is number 1, where we have negative 4 plus 1?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. And then on number 2, we have negative 11 plus 3?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. And then on number 3, we have 12 plus a negative 17.
Negative 5.
Right. Negative 5. All right, so take a minute and do these problems, and let's make sure you guys got it. This is a review from yesterday. Yesterday's assignment. And why don't you come on up and put some answers on the board, and let's see what y'all get. So for number 1, positive 5. Yeah, negative 11. I mean, negative 7 is okay. What about number 2? Somebody want to do 2 and 4? Okay, and then what about number 2?
Negative 9.
Negative 9. So for number 1, we have positive 5. For number 2, we have negative 9. For number 3, we have -7. And for number 4, we have -1. Any questions on that one at all? All right, so we reviewed the 2 basic rules for addition. If the signs are the same, the answer will have the same sign. All you do is add them. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2 is if the signs are different, you take the difference between the 2 numbers and use the sign that's furthest from 0. So let's talk about the rules of subtraction now that we've reviewed addition. What you want to do when you're subtracting integers is you want to change the subtraction sign to addition. Then you're going to take the inverse sign of the second number. And I just call this plus the opposite. Now, once you've done that, you need to follow the addition rules that we just reviewed. Because now you have addition once you've changed that subtracted sign. And the way that I remember this is I say a little phrase to myself, plus the opposite. Plus the opposite means I'm going to change the subtraction sign to addition, and I'm going to change the sign of the number immediately afterwards to its opposite. So if it was subtract a positive 3, I would do plus a -3. They mean the same thing. I'm just changing it to addition to make my calculations easier. You're changing direction. I saw this cute little video because who was it? I think it was Jacob. Jacob, you and I were talking about this yesterday, right?
What's it about the,
I saw this. I want to play this for you guys. This is what you were having trouble with yesterday. Okay? Let me turn it up.
Plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a positive, by this to negative. Plus a positive, by this to negative. Plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Minus a negative, plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a negative, plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a negative, plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Plus a negative. Whenever you see minus a negative or 2 minus signs in a row, grab your pencil and change them to 2 plus signs or plus a positive. Then all you have to do is add the numbers. In this case, you have 4 minus -7, which is the same as 4 plus +7, or 11. Remember, when you're dealing with negative numbers, basic operations moves the opposite random number line. Subtraction moves to the right, and addition moves to the left. Minus a negative plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Minus a negative plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Minus a negative plus a positive, that's just how it goes. Minus a negative plus a positive, that's just how it goes.
I thought that was so cute. So hopefully that'll stay in your head. Minus a negative plus a positive. That's just how it goes.
theme song, yeah, like,
So you and I were talking yesterday, and you were saying, oh, that's pretty wild, but that's basically what's happening on the number line, is you're changing direction. when you have those two negatives together, they become plus a positive. So you're basically adding them. And that's the minus a negative plus a positive. I just thought that was so cute. All right, so let's go over the rules again. Remember, when you're subtracting, you're going to change the subtraction sign to addition. And you're going to take the inverse sign of the integer to the right of that minus.
What does that mean? Sorry.
And all I use, Jacob, is this. Plus, change the subtraction to plus, and use the opposite sign of the integer next door. So, for instance, if I have 7, and I'm going to go minus 3. This is the same as 7 plus, what kind of sign is on 3?
Negative, or well, that's a positive 3.
Yeah, so what's the opposite of positive 3? Negative 3. These mean the exact same thing. 7 minus 3 is equal to 4, and 7 plus a negative 3 is also equal to 4. They mean the same thing. I'm just using subtraction here, and I'm using plus the opposite here. They mean exactly the same thing. Not having all of those negatives helps you. So you just need to remember the phrase plus the opposite, or plus the opposite sign. And let's do a couple. That you get better at this when you practice. Okay, what would I get here? So if I did plus the opposite, the subtraction sign becomes plus, but that 5, what would be opposite 5?
Negative sign.
So this becomes negative 3 plus a negative 5 is a negative 8. Your answer's a negative 8 there.
4 8.
Right? Because what you're going to do is you got negative 3, change that to plus, but this is a 5. So it's negative 5. If I'm on the number line, I go to negative 3, and then I go an additional 5 to the left. I'm going to end up at negative 8. Now, the reason why you have to trust the rule is because if I give you negative 492 and negative 5,620, you can't do all that on a number line. You have got to trust the rules. Okay? But until you can trust the rules, if there's small ones like this, then you guys can go ahead and put them on a number line to see that that would be negative 8.
That would be a positive 4,777.
Oh, thank you for doing my example. But you're not going to want to take a problem like that to a number line, okay, to see what sign it is or where it ends up. You don't have time for that, okay? So you need to trust these rules. Just the rules tell you what direction to get everything in, okay? But thank you for that, Curtis. Okay, what about problem 2 here?
Oh, you know what? That'd be
Minus a negative plus a positive. Come on. That's just how it goes. So what will this be? 8. Good, okay? Because you're going to change this to plus the opposite. Okay? So plus the opposite here will be 5 plus 3.
wow.
Are you starting to understand it? Or are you just shaking your head because it's just too wild?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Okay, so this will be 8. What about this one?
Negative 12.
Nope, not negative 12. This is going to be, because this is a negative 2 here. So plus the opposite is 8. Because I got to take a negative 2 and a positive 10. The difference is 8. Okay? Do I need to work that one out on the board?
How does the negative 10 turn into a positive 10?
because you have minus a negative is plus a positive. That's just how it goes. Okay?
That's just six.
Okay? Remember, when you have minus a negative, you're changing directions. So this becomes plus a positive. So this will be -2 plus positive 10. And just use my rule. Plus the opposite. Well, what's plus the opposite? It's plus a positive 10. This is going to be 8. Positive 8. Okay, let's do another one. Now, if I did plus the opposite here, what would I get?
Be positive 5.
No, not positive 5. Oh, no.
That's positive 5.
You have to do plus the opposite. Let's do it. If I did plus the opposite up here, what would I
Negative
get?
5.
Wait, plus, yeah, -8. Plus the opposite.
So that would be -11.
Yeah, -11. Okay? When I change this to plus, and I see that that is a positive 8, what happens to that positive 8? I need the opposite of it.
-8.
It becomes -8. We do plus the opposite. And you need to practice that. Plus the opposite. That's the rule for subtraction. You're going to change it to plus the opposite. So the answer here is -11. Because I'm going to start at -3. Then I'm going to go to the negative side 8 times. I'm going to end up at -11. Okay? Trust the rule. What is it?
Negative 14.
Absolutely, -14. What is it?
Positive 12.
Correct. Positive 12. What is it?
Positive 4. I mean negative 4.
It's -4 because the 7's on the negative side. So this becomes plus a positive. This is 3. So you have -7 plus 3, which is -4. What is it?
Negative 9.
Right? That's an easy one, huh? -9. Number 9.
Negative, no, positive 9.
-2.
Negative 2.
And
Positive 6.
not positive 6. What is it?
No, negative 6.
Nope.
Not negative.
Remember. 26. Yeah, 26. That's right, Andy. This is plus a positive. So when you add them together, you get 26. That's right. Okay? Don't forget, plus the opposite. It's easy to forget if you haven't been using it. All right, what about this one, you guys?
Positive 26.
Okay. Positive 26.
Negative 5.
No, not negative.
13, positive 13.
No, not 13.
Oh, positive 5.
Positive 5 plus a positive. This becomes 9. 9 plus a -4 is 5. Okay, so it's positive 5. You okay, Andy? Positive 5 for this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting it.
All right. What about this one?
6.
Yep, 6. What about this one?
17.
Yep, 17. 17 again. What about this one?
-1.
Absolutely, -1. And this one?
Negative 15.
No, not -15. What happens to the 4?
Oh, you know what?
Negative 23.
No, it's negative 23. Yeah. You add them together. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That becomes plus and negative?
Yes.
Okay. That's right, negative 23.
Negative 24.
Right,
Regular.
negative 24. This one?
Negative 17.
67,
Negative 17. What's this one?
Negative 4.
Right. I wish I could do Jeopardy or something on that. You know, there is an integer
That was-
Jeopardy that we could do, but,
Oh my gosh.
now, you guys, if you look at today's packet, is it long?
No.
And there's a reason.
Oh man.
It can't be that easy, right?
Yesterday, that was like a grand.
Yesterday's, well, because that was the basic basis for what we needed to do. And really, today is, we're just adding one rule, but we're doing the same thing that we did yesterday, pretty much. You guys only have 24 questions today. And on the online, you want to just do practice 2? Just do practice 2. Activity 2, I'm sorry. On page 4, do activity 2 for your extra work. Now, activity 2, yes. That's it. Everything else you guys can do if you feel you need more practice, okay? I want to make sure that you understand subtracting integers because in the plus the opposite, because it's very important. So you're going to do these 24 problems. You're going to go and do your quizzes, and you're going to do the one online activity. What are we doing tomorrow, class?
Cost test in building D1.
You are doing the CASAS test. You go to building D. You meet me at 112, 8 o'clock. Because we only have an hour and a half over there, and you only are going to be given on the computer. The computer will time you 1 hour to finish your math test. Okay? So don't be late. You need to be there at 8 o'clock to get the full advantage of having the right time. Okay?
I have a question about the
Yes.
concept. Why are we taking the concept?
Well, didn't you take one at the beginning of this class? That's how you get graded in this class, is by improving your CASA score. And it's time for you guys to demonstrate that you have improved. And believe me, as your teacher, I know that you have improved.
Well, I